Put your hand up if you've heard of AI. Keep your hand up if you've heard of ChatGPT. Keep your hand up if you've used ChatGPT. Keep your hand up if you know the difference between GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. Keep your hand up if you've used GPT 4. Keep your hand up if you've used GPT 4 for work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I made notes on my computer mistake. All right. Talk about AI. I think if we're going to talk about this topic, we have to start, or we always should start, with legal services. That is, the law is there, the rule of law is there, to underpin liberal democracy. It's the core backbone of society. Right? The law not there to keep lawyers employed. The law is not there to make lawyers rich. I should mention at this point, I asked a question to the team earlier. I said, if you were going to choose between me not swearing in public and not being rude about the legal industry, which would you choose? They went with the swearing. I'm going to really try here. The effing and blinding in the office. Real. I'm sorry about that. I'll do my best. However, that means I get to be rude about the legal industry. They're cringing already. The law is here not to make us rich. The law is here to support society. And in society, there are lots of individuals who can't get access to justice. It's a crisis around the world. There are lots of business people who are deeply frustrated. Their bills are too high. It's unpredictable. It's slow. Right? We, the profession, who've been given a monopoly by the state to practice law, have not kept up our side of the bargain. We work hard, we do our best for our clients, but as a group, we have failed to give access to justice to our society. We have failed to let people, an average person on the street, have access to navigate this increasingly complex set of rules. So the question I think we should be asking is not, is ChatGPT going to take our jobs? But can we do a better job of giving the world access to it and to add more value? As I always remind my team, value is about meeting the needs of the client. And we must always start with a client. I am known, along with my swearing, to be a cynic on Twitter. Twitter is where the troublemakers in law hang out. I think you can identify me as a troublemaker. I may or may not make it to the airport. In that grumpy persona I have on Twitter, I have been known to be a little bit rude about some of the new shiny things that come along. There are some people who just love this stuff, right? We had it with blockchain. We had it, if you go all the way back, with legal project management, and all sorts of things which are like fads that come and go. And I was rude about blockchain, lately. I've been rude about contract lifecycle management. I think I'll be rude right in the end. And I was rude about AI. And I may be wrong. I used to give a talk I gave a talk where I put a clause up on the wall for students or young lawyers, and I wouldn't ask them to identify it because they're students, so they wouldn't know. But anyway, I talked about what AI could do with this clause, right? And it could translate it. It could pull out the entities in it. It could tell you what's the noun, what's the verb, how they relate to each other, right? It could do a number of things. It could even tell you what type of clause it is, unlike those students. Because you can build classification models, classic natural language processing, machine learning stuff that we've been working with today. But the punchline of the talk was always that it can't tell you whether you can assign. Okay? So I put that clause into GPT 3.5, which came out about last November when all this noise started. You might have started reading about it. And it mangled it. Right? And therefore I went on to be rude again on the internet. I do it a lot. But I got a problem. Because I placed a bet on the internet. It was only for a drink. Except the winner got to choose where the drink was anywhere on the planet. With an old friend, Casey Blackty. And this bet's now being talked about a lot at conferences. I was going to be quoted. Where I argued that GPT and large language models, which it forms an example, would not have a significant, and I define that as 5%, impact in the next 5 years on the work that lawyers do around contracts. Wouldn't affect drafting, wouldn't affect interpretation, and so on. And I made this bet for 3 reasons. Right? 1, I didn't think it worked. 2, even if it did work, it wouldn't get adopted by anyone, because guess what, it's the legal industry, right? Not exactly famous for rapid change. And number 3 was, even if it did work, did get adopted, it would actually increase the work. Surprising, right? And the reason is Jevons paradox. I think I pronounced that wrong, right? And Jevons paradox says that when something becomes cheaper, it gets used a lot more. So just when you crash the cost of doing something, suddenly you end up employing a lot more people. It's kind of interesting, right? There's a lot of historical examples of this. On point 1, I got a problem. I took that same clause, I put it into GPT-4, it nailed it. It nailed it. It can't reason, but my God, it can do something. Right? It spat me out a 5-line table. It pulled out 5 different examples. It showed me each of those scenarios what their outcome would be. It was right. Right? On point number 2, whether it'll get adopted, we're adopting it. Right? I'm kind of being cautious with the team, but I've got my 21-year-old kid running a whole bunch of knowledge management stuff through GPT as we speak, and getting error messages on my phone. And the impact we've yet to see, right? But maybe, just maybe, we can crash the cost of legal services. And I think that's a good thing. Not sure whether I am going to make it to the airport. All right, so how do we think about this technology? Well, first of all, you gotta try it. You gotta try it. It's kind of amazing. My working assumption is GPT is trying to kill me. I mean, I'm a little bit overly dramatic in my notice, but I mean, I'm really thinking so, trying to kill me. Not like Terminator stuff, right? But it is dangerously, wildly wrong on a consistent, often basis, right? In fact, it lures you in because it sounds so confident, then it gets it wrong, right? You cannot rely on GPT for any fact, right? It is regularly make stuff up. You ask it what the law is on a topic, it'll just make laws up, right? But what I figured is that you can use it in incredible ways to speed up your work if you treat it as not something you prompt for the answer, but a way of prompting your brain. It's a tool you can run with that makes you wildly faster. Angelique, who is a leading light and a total counterexample to what are my rude comments about the legal industry, if you've who's the general counsel of Massey, and I were discussing earlier, and she's like, I use it all the time, I don't do anything any longer, right? Because she's using it to prompt her brain. Interestingly, her team's not using it, right? Not that she's not trying. The other problem we've got here is incentives matter in law. That's why I set up radiant law to be fixed fee only, right? You can't do anything interesting in law if you're charging by the hour. Sorry, said it, right? You're charging by the hour, you are incentivized to take more hours to do work. You're cringing. I'm sorry. You might want to step outside. Incentives matter. You are operating in an environment where you are charging by the hour, you will not be able to run with the machine. Right? You're an in-house lawyer out there, whose job is to get rid of noise and do things faster. You might have the right incentives, and I think that's where it's going to matter. So the question is, do we have a choice whether we run with the machine? Because the problem is not whether or not you want to use it. The question is someone down the road going to use it? Because the first law firm that breaks rank, right, gets to set the pace for what the market gets. That's why I walked out of the partnership with Latham Watkins 12 years ago to set up Radiant Law, because I knew that we weren't going to make progress without changing the incentives and reimagining things so we could really deliver value to clients. We're now the fastest law firm on the planet by an embarrassing margin. So, in summary, I think the question here is about how we help clients. I think our duty is to help clients. I think there is a massive gap in reality right now between what should be and what is. I think we have an opportunity to start to close the access to justice gap, not just by throwing them GPT and saying good luck, right? It invents those laws. But we could be building the tools at scale right now to start to help with these problems, right? I think we have to get all the incentives right. It matters if you choose whether you're charging fixed fee or by the hour. It matters. And then finally, I don't think you should assume that no one else is going to move. So the question is not whether AI is going to take your job. The question is, how are you going to run with the machines? Thank you.